Hello. How are you doing tonight? It's Coach Sarah here, and tonight, if you are joining me, we are going to be talking about nutrient deficiencies. So I'm going to wait a few minutes and see who logs on here, but if you're tuning in live, as always, I ask you to put a 1 up in the comments for me, and if you happen to be tuning in after the fact, throw a 2 up in the comments for me, and it's just going to help me know who's logging on and who's tuning in. So if you're here, shoot me a little message, drop me a little line below and let me know you're here, because I want to know you're here, because I like to give shout outs and I love it when you leave comments. I have a friend who always talks about on social media that comments are like currency. So the more comments you put down there, and the more you look down in that lower left hand area next to your comments and share, if you can share this video, that's also like currency to us. So the more you get the word out and the more you share this with other people, the more people can get the message. Hello, Teresa. Hello, Amy. Hi, Erin. We'll see who else is on here. Hi, Kristen. That's my former client, Kristen. She now lives very far away from me. I want to train you again, Kristen. You just let me know when. I've got you, girl. So again, if you are tuning in here tonight live, put a 1 up in the comments for me. If you're tuning in after the fact, put a 2 up in the comments for me. And if you are here, we are here to talk nutrient deficiency. Hey, Lise. How's it going, girl? So with that said, why are we talking nutrient deficiency tonight? Well, as much as I hate to break it to you, if you don't already know this, nutrient deficiency is a real thing. Nutrient deficiency does not mean that you live in a third world country. Nutrient deficiency is not just something that happens to pirates, yarg, like scurvy, when you don't have enough calcium, like that, or citrus fruit. Vitamin C, rather, is from scurvy. But nutrient deficiencies are something that are running rampant in the United States. And I'm going to tell you more about that in a minute. But the first thing I want to start off by telling you is I learned a little saying from someone not too long ago. And that saying is success leaves clues. But you want to think about that in another way tonight. When we talk about the way that our food sourcing is affecting us in the United States specifically, is that failure also leaves clues. So success leaves clues, failure also leaves clues. And in the last 50 years, the health rating of the United States has consistently dropped. We used to be number 7 in world health, I do believe, and I think now we're all the way down to something like number 35 in world health. 60% of U.S. adults have at least one chronic disease. 28% of U.S. adults have 2 chronic diseases. And 12% of U.S. adults have 5 or more chronic diseases. And of those people that have 1 or more chronic diseases, which, guys, the definition of a chronic disease is a disease that is treatable and affected by lifestyle, diet, movement, and choices, primarily, your lifestyle choices. So of those people that have 1 or more chronic diseases, accounts for 90% of our healthcare spending in the United States. 90%. Of the people that have chronic diseases make up 90% of that. So think about that number. Think about if you may be in that population. Think about who you know who's in that population, and know that chronic issues are issues that can be resolved through taking better care of your health. And part of that is resolving nutrient deficiencies. So what I'm here to talk about tonight is why we are struggling with nutrient deficiencies in our country. Where is it coming from? Why are we at this place? What is the root cause of these nutrient deficiencies? Hi, Lou. And the real reason is that we're really focused, as a country, we're focused on sick care rather than focusing on well care. A lot of the things I'm going to talk about tonight that may even sound familiar to you as symptoms oftentimes get misdiagnosed and get treated with prescription medications, which oftentimes just perpetuate the issue and don't get down to the root cause. So what is well care? What does well care look like? What is well care comprised of? So well care is eliminating your nutritional deficiencies. Well care is monitoring your quality and your quantity of your food. Well care is getting adequate physical activity that's right for your body. Well care is managing your emotional health, your spiritual health. Well care is everything. Well care is the whole person. Hello, Lynn. Hello, Randy. So when we talk well care, it really boils down to movement and a balanced diet. That would be like the two basic foundations of well care. If we think really, really simple. And if we get even deeper into the balanced diet, what is a balanced diet? What makes up a balanced diet? Well, a balanced diet at its most basic level means a diet that is devoid of nutritional deficiencies. So if we talk about that idea, we have a couple major problems, like major problems. So if we want to talk about creating a diet without nutritional deficiency, there's a couple things that are going to prevent us from getting there from just food alone. The first thing is going to be our soil quality. So over the last 100 years, we have seen a diminishing soil quality. The minerals are getting stripped from our soil. Our farming practices, our modern farming practices are the major culprit. We don't replenish our soil the same way that we used to. We don't let our soil rest the same way that we used to. We don't rotate our crops the same way that we used to. And because of those farming practices that we engage in now, our soil's becoming incredibly deficient in micronutrients. And if your soil's deficient in micronutrients, guess what also becomes deficient? The food that you're consuming. And if the food that you're consuming is deficient in nutrients, guess who else is deficient in nutrients? You, me, my daughter, my husband. We're all deficient in nutrients. If our soil's not getting what it needs, and unless you are a bioavailable soil farmer who is replenishing their own soil and growing all of their own crops in their backyard, there is a very high chance that you too are nutrient deficient. The other reason that I know that we have nutrient deficiencies running rampant is that there was an amazing study done by the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition. And it was a study that was done between the years of 1996 and 2007. So it was a study that spanned the course of 11 years. And they studied over 70 different diets, meaning 70 different styles of eating. That's a lot of different styles of eating. But the really alarming thing about that study is that they found that 100% of these 70 different styles of eating were deficient in the basic recommended daily intake of micronutrients. 100% of them. And here's some more in-depth statistics of what that exactly looked like. So when we talk about how deficient were they? 100% of the diets were deficient in iodine. 95% of the diets were deficient in vitamin D. 80% of the diets were deficient in zinc. And zinc is responsible for over 180 enzymatic processes in the body. The second most important mineral in your body for enzymatic processes, next to magnesium, which is what I'm going to talk about next. Vitamin E, 65% of the diets were deficient in. 50% of the diets were deficient in calcium. And just nutrient-wise, purely calorie-wise, 50% of the diets were actually deficient purely in just calories, meaning just energy deficient, and not due to the quantity of food they were eating, but due to the nutritional density in the food they were eating. Because calories are not created equal. When you're eating good quality food that has good bioavailability, the amount of calories that you're actually absorbing and assimilating to your body is much higher and much better than the calories that you are taking in from processed foods. And the nutrients that you get from processed foods even worse. Because processing food essentially should translate through to food stripped of nutrients, if that makes sense. Because the more processed a food is, the more deficient in nutrients it is. That's why a lot of our foods now need to be fortified with things. So that study that was done in 2007, or concluded in 2007, showed that over these 70 different types of diets that were analyzed, 100% of them failed to meet what was at the time called the RDA, which now it's called the RDI. So what was formerly known as the recommended daily allowance is now the recommended daily intake. So those two things are interchangeable. But just know that the RDA, RDI values on micronutrients are literally just enough to keep you from having nutrient deficiency diseases, meaning like scurvy. So we need to be advocating for our own health. We need to be aware of how we can shift this tide. So because this study was done on both active people as well as sedentary people, they also found out some really interesting other information. So the more active you are, the more you push your body, the more you drive your body like a high performance vehicle, the more stress you're under, the more depleted your body becomes of nutrients. So, are you stressed? Do you have high demands on you? Do you like to train? Do you like to work out? Do you like to push your body hard? Do you like to get the most out of what you're doing in the gym? Then you need to make sure that you're clearing up your nutritional deficiencies. Because if you're not, and you're even slightly nutrient deficient, that will eventually equal injury. It will eventually equal sickness. It will eventually equal your body breaking down in some way. It just depends on where the weak link in your body is. So, when we're dealing with nutritional deficiencies, this isn't something that's new to the people in the United States. It's not new to our government that we were going to be dealing with this on epidemic levels. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because if you dig, and you're like me, I love doing research, you can go back all the way to 1936. And you can dig into the congressional records. And the second session of the 74th congressional record stated that laboratory tests prove that the fruits, vegetables, grains, eggs, and even the milk and meats of today, this was 1936 today, are not what they were a few generations ago. Meaning in 1936, they already knew that the quality of our food supply was dropping. And now we are in 2018. Somebody do the math for me there. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that that's 82 years. We've known that our food supply has been being depleted of nutritional value. Think about that. So, the same study that I was talking about with those 70 diets, they actually calculated out, I think I may have mentioned this, but I'm not sure, I'm going to reiterate that, but they actually looked at how many different areas each person that they looked at was deficient in, And out of the 70 diets analyzed, there were multiple people in each of those categories that were analyzed. And the ranges in nutritional deficiencies started at a minimum of 3 areas that they were deficient in and went all the way up to 15 different areas that these individuals were deficient in. So anywhere from 3 micronutrients all the way up to 15 different things. And all I'm going to talk to you guys tonight about is what it looks like if you're magnesium deficient. I'm just going to talk about magnesium. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. So now that I have hopefully convinced you that most of us are not getting what we need as far as nutrient deficiencies and nutrient density goes, I want to explain to you what nutrient deficiency can look like. I want to explain to you why you may be falling prey to nutrient deficiency. And I'm going to wrap up tonight by telling you a few ways that you can get some help if you feel like you're struggling in those areas. So when we think about nutrient deficiency, we typically tend to go all the way to the extreme end of chronic disease. So we think about cancer, we think about diabetes, we think about heart disease, we think about stroke, we think about that kind of stuff. We think about like the biggies, right? But what we need to start looking at and what we need to start paying attention to are the whispers. So if you think about the chronic diseases, like getting hit in the face with a 2x4, I want you to think about the stuff I'm about to talk you through, like these smaller symptoms. I want you to think about these like the small whispers. These are the whispers that your body's giving you before it hits you in the face with the cosmic 2x4. And so if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, these are basic signs that you might be experiencing a generalized nutrient deficiency. And then we're going to go a little bit more in depth specifically into magnesium and what that looks like. So generally speaking, nutrient deficiencies can show up in a lot of different ways. Some easy ways to spot that you may have a nutrient deficiency is GI distress, constipation, IBS, chronic migraines, inability to focus, muscle twitching, restless leg syndrome, anxiety, depression, inability to lose weight. That is a big one. If you feel like you're doing all the right things, if you feel like you are engaging in all the right behaviors and you're not able to drop weight, a nutrient deficiency could be at the root. That's a real thing. Low libido or no libido can be a sign of a nutrient deficiency. Fertility issues, hormonal imbalances, fatigue. I said IBS already. Irregular periods, tinnitus, ringing in your ears. Ringing in your ears can be a sign of a nutrient deficiency. I had ringing in my ears after I gave birth to my daughter, and I could not figure out where it was coming from. That's where it was coming from. When you make a human, when you create a tiny person inside of you, where do you think all of those nutrients come from? They come from you. If you're not getting them from your food, then that tiny infrastructure that's growing inside of you is going to leach them from you and is going to borrow them, or rather steal them from you. So having irregular periods, tinnitus, blurry vision, ringing in your ears, tingling fingers, tingling in your toes, all of those could be basic symptoms of a nutrient deficiency. So why are we becoming so deficient? So we already identified that our soil sources are pretty poor, right? So many people struggle with gut absorption issues. So many people struggle with autoimmunity. And when we have autoimmune issues root in gut health. And when our gut health is poor, our absorption is poor. Processed food, we already touched on that. When we're eating processed food, we're not getting the nutrients we need. we're dehydrated. Dehydration, water consumption, is the root of digestion. So if you're walking around even slightly dehydrated, you're not able to effectively transport water-soluble vitamins and minerals. And prescription medications. Prescription medications, which I'll go into more later, can deplete your mineral storage because it's going to be either forcing you to dump certain minerals in order to buffer, or it's going to cause a leaching of those minerals because it might be something that chelates or attaches to it and draws it out of the bone or out of your tissue. So we need to be considering all of those different sources that could be causing our nutrient deficiencies. And now we're going to hone into a really big one, which is magnesium. So for those of you who are out there who might be a little bit of a science nerd, which I know I see some of you out there. Hi, Jane. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Angelica. Thank you for tuning in, guys. For those of you who are into science, into chemistry, do you know what magnesium does in the body? Hi, Patience. If you do, if you have an idea of what magnesium does in the body, throw me a comment below. Because magnesium, there's a lot of right answers. Because magnesium is responsible for it's somewhere between 700 and 800 enzymatic processes in the human body. It's pretty crazy, right? I had prefaced earlier, zinc is the next most important in enzymatic processes at only about 180 different enzymatic processes, but magnesium in and of itself covers somewhere between 700 and 800 processes in the body. So it does things like remove toxins from cells. It removes heavy metals from your tissues. It balances the release of insulin in your body. There's so many things that magnesium is responsible for. But if you look at magnesium from the essence of where is it in our soil and how abundant is it in our soil, what we saw about 100 years ago in the same soil sample, we would see in the soil sample that would hold roughly 500 milligrams of magnesium about 100 years ago, that same soil sample is holding roughly 200 milligrams of magnesium. So our magnesium source has been cut more so in half, and magnesium is going to be something that is required even in the most basic of functions in the body. So again, for those of you who are science peeps out there, the Krebs cycle, which creates energy for the human body, there are 8 steps to the Krebs cycle, right? 6 out of the 8 steps of the Krebs cycle they require magnesium to be completed appropriately. So even something as simple as creating energy for your body, if you don't have adequate magnesium, can be affected. So when we talk about magnesium, it is estimated that roughly 75% of the population does walk around with a mild to severe magnesium deficiency. And one of the big things that magnesium is also responsible for is with cardiovascular health is shuttling away calcium deposits in our tissues. So something as simple as I cannot say this word, arthrosclerosis, or a hardening of your arteries. If you are magnesium deficient, you are not going to be able to effectively remove that plaque buildup. So low magnesium can be responsible for a variety of different symptoms. And like I was saying before, a lot of the symptoms that magnesium deficiency is responsible for end up getting misdiagnosed and end up getting treated with conventional medications. So I'm going to list off some things here, and you may find or know or even be a person who's like, holy cow, this totally sounds like me, or holy cow, this totally sounds like my mom, my dad, my sister, my whatever. These symptoms can all end up getting misdiagnosed. So behavioral disturbances, irritability, anxiety, lethargy, impaired memory, cognitive function decreases, loss of appetite or anorexia, nausea and vomiting, hyperglycemia or inability to control your blood sugar, calcium deficiency, potassium deficiency, irregular heartbeat or arrhythmia, coronary spasms of the heart muscle, seizures, just generalized weakness, muscle spasms or like restless leg syndrome, nervous tics, twitches, cramps, hyperactive reflexes like jumping if somebody comes around the corner and scares you and you're really jumpy, ataxia or like poor coordination, tremors, involuntary eye movements, vertigo, and difficulty swallowing can all be symptoms of a simple magnesium deficiency. All of them. And some people have many of these things. And some of them are related back to other bigger issues. So then we get into with chronic magnesium deficiency. So that first set of symptoms, that's just if you come up simply like a serum test, like a simple magnesium serum test in your blood, and it may be low, you could be experiencing these symptoms. Now, if you have chronic magnesium deficiency, you may be getting, again, people with certain conditions may also be more predisposed to magnesium deficiency because of gut absorption, because of certain abilities for the body to process. So if you are someone with depression, if you are someone with chronic fatigue syndrome, you've been diagnosed. If you're someone who's been diagnosed with ADHD, if you're someone who's been diagnosed with epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, sleep disturbances or sleep problems, migraines, cluster headaches, osteoporosis, PMDD, cardiac arrhythmia, coronary artery disease, acid reflux, GERD, hypertension, adrenal fatigue, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, blood clotting issues, all of those things can be rooted and have a hand with magnesium deficiency. All of them. Now, I'm not saying that that's the cause, but it can be part of the solution. The third layer to that is if you are a prescription medication user, if you are somebody who has been exposed to prescription medications over time as a child, there is a chance that it can cause a magnesium deficiency. And it can be simple things like certain antibiotics, like certain antifungal medications, like estrogen replacement, corticosteroids, asthma medications, diuretics like Lasix, heart failure medications such as like Digitalis, anti-cancer drugs, immunosuppressants, anti-neoplastic drugs that are used in chemotherapy, asthma medications, I think I already said that, but like epinephrine would be a good example of that. Certain antipsychotics and certain anti-schizophrenic drugs like stelazine can also cause magnesium deficiencies. It increases the secretion of magnesium in the body, or they end up increasing the body's magnesium requirements, and that's where the deficiency ends up coming from there. So this can end up being a very layered effect, and I'm not telling anyone out there to get off of your prescription medications. I am not a doctor. I'm not here to diagnose. I am not here to treat. I am not here to tell you that anything's going to heal you. I'm here to educate. I'm here to raise your awareness of how you can take control of your health. So if any of this rang through to you, if any of this sounded all too familiar to you and you're not sure what to do next, that is where getting the advice of a professional can be extremely helpful. Obviously, you guys know I'm a nutrition coach. This is what I do for a living. This is why I know what I know, is because I do the research. I pound the books and I do all of the footwork of figuring out what is going to help heal and assist the human body in doing its job. Because to be honest, guys, we are meant to heal ourselves. It's not the supplements that heal us. It's not the food that heals us. The food and the supplements and the self-care allow our body to heal itself. And so when we have determined we can't get everything we need from our food, when we have determined that we do need to potentially supplement to fill in those nutritional gaps, and when we have determined that we do need to start getting some physical activity, but we don't know what to do to fill in those gaps, this is where I become your resource. This is where I become that person who can help point you in the right direction. And because I cannot take everybody one-on-one, every fall I run a nutritional challenge. It's an 8-week nutrition challenge, and prior to this year, I only offered this nutrition challenge live and in person to people that were in the Chicagoland area. I decided that this year is going to be different. And what I'm going to do differently this year is that I'm actually going to be offering the challenge, the 8-week challenge, online as well. So there is going to be an online component, and because my Facebook community has been so amazing and has outpoured so much support into what we're doing in this realm and helping support us, we wanted to offer this challenge to you guys. So this 8-week challenge we do every fall. It's a really exciting, fun challenge. It's open to men and women this year. And I'm going to be shooting the details down below, but what you need to know if you're getting yourself into this challenge, that I am going to be teaching you how to properly fuel your body. I am going to be assisting and supporting you for 8 weeks in a private group right here on Facebook, where I'm going to teach you the tools that you need to help refill your health bank account. I'm going to teach you how to work out in such a way that you are building your body and not just breaking it down. I'm going to teach you to eat in such a way that you're eating for not only your gender, but for your body type as well as your goals. And you're going to get support each week in this private group via live education for 8 weeks. The goal being that you have a pair of pants in your closet, or maybe not in your closet. Maybe you have to get a pair of pants that do not fit. So you need a goal pair. And in those 8 weeks, through the strategies that I provide you, you will fit into your pants in 8 weeks. I have an over 90% success rate, and this is the 6th year that I have run this challenge. And the least number of people I've ever had do it has been 28. So I'm not talking about only getting 5 people out of 6 people in their jeans over the last 6 years. We're talking about lots of people. So I want to see you guys get involved in the challenge if that's something that would help support you. If you are somebody who wants more one-on-one or needs more one-on-one, contact me privately. Send me a message and I will get you on my waiting list. I have a waiting list right now, but that waiting list will not be a waiting list forever if you get yourself on it. I will shoot you a link and you can reserve your spot. If you are not local, I do have opportunities for you to coach with me. I have clients all over now, not just local to Chicagoland area, and I want to offer up that opportunity for you to maybe coach in the group or to possibly coach with me one-on-one. So if this sounds like something you need, if this sounds like something that might be causing you to nod your head up and down and want to know more, then maybe it's the time that you start giving yourself some you time. Maybe it's time to start focusing in on what you need. Maybe it's time to start listening to the whispers before you get hit by the cosmic 2x4. So with that, if you feel like your nutrition's off and you're not sure what to do next, I want to help you. I want to help you move forward and give you a community of people that are all trying to accomplish the same thing, which is become the best version of themselves. So with that said, I hope you guys got a lot out of tonight's talk. I want to know what you want to know more about. So if you are here with me tonight, comment down below what you want to hear me go live about next. What do you want to know more about? how can I better serve you guys? And what topic is just burning a hole in your brain that you want to know more about when it comes to health, wellness, nutrition, mindset, all of the things that you guys know I love to talk about. I want to know that because you guys are going to help drive the content here. So again, I'm going to put the link below to get involved in the challenge. I'm really excited to see who decides to take the leap. I understand that a challenge is not for everyone, but if you are someone who wants to get stellar results, if you are somebody who's ready to take control of your health, and if you're somebody who is finally ready to get the results that you know you deserve, I hope to see you message me. I hope to see you get involved because it's your time, friend. Have a great night, guys. Talk to you soon.